Welcome back, guys. Welcome to another video. Today the topic is about muscle contractions. So I'm going to be talking about the types of contractions and which one's the best for hypertrophy. Hypertrophy, again, is the process of enlarging your muscles, so getting them bigger. So yeah, let's get right into it. So to give you guys a little bit of a rundown of the anatomy of muscle. So first you have the muscle belly, which is the entire muscle, and then the muscle belly is organized into muscle fascicles. So the muscle fascicles are then organized into the muscle cells, and the muscle cells are organized into myofibrils, and then you have the sarcomeres, which is little bits of the myofibrils, and so the sarcomeres. Then you have the muscle filaments, the filaments being actin, myosin, and then some other stuff like titin. But for the most important things are the filaments, is that they are the ones that are doing the contraction. So first, out of the three major types of contractions, it is isotonic. Isotonic is usually put into two subgroups called concentric and eccentric. So if you're, for example, if I'm doing a bicep curl, the weight down, like when you're dropping the weight, fighting gravity, that's called the eccentric part of the contraction. And so what's happening here is that your muscle fibers are elongating. That's how I like to remember it. The myofilaments, they're elongating, they're getting longer, and so it starts with an E, so eccentric, whatever. And then the opposite is the concentric part of the contraction, which is when the filaments are coming again back together. So that's basically it for isotonic contractions. Next up is isometric contractions, and so isometric contractions, they are basically where it's a static movement. You're not producing range of motion. So for example, again with the bicep curl, if you just hold it on one steady spot, and you're not moving it up or down, it's just staying still. And so so it's basically missing out on a lot of the range of motion, which again causes the elongation and the shortening of the muscle. One good thing about the isometric contractions is you could overload. You could overload weight, so you can, like for example, let's see, like if you're on a fly machine, like a cable machine, you could pretty much max out the weight, and then just try to produce as much force as you can. You're not going to move it because obviously it's the max weight, but you're just producing that force, and you're putting so much tension in your muscle, which is actually pretty helpful for hypertrophy. A lot of people like to bash on it because it's not going through like the full range of motion, but that tension is very good for hypertrophy. So for the Third type of contraction, there is the isokinetic contraction, and isokinetic is usually mainly utilized with a machine. So it's basically where a machine is helping you through the range of motion, through the contraction. It's basically doing it for you. So like maybe when you're on a stationary bike or an elliptical, something like that, that is considered an isokinetic contraction. So which is the best contraction for muscle building? I would have to say that it is isotonic contractions. And the reason behind that is because the eccentric portion of that contraction, when you're going down, again with the bicep curl analogy, your muscle filaments, they're elongating, and so that's when they lengthen the most they can, and that's what causes the most micro tears in your muscle. So that is what you want for hypertrophy. Again, hypertrophy is the process of basically rehealing and enlarging your muscle. So the more micro tears, the more healing you can do, and the bigger they can get faster. The eccentric portion is the most beneficial, and versus the concentric, I would say. So if you're looking to build muscle, I would recommend incorporating to your sets like maybe a muscle burner, where you don't necessarily overload too much, but you can have like a spotter or someone help you up, and then you try to slowly lower the weight. So they're called negatives. A lot of people call them negatives. So it's that eccentric portion. That's what's going to cause the most damage, or the most muscle tears in your muscle. But again, all three of them are beneficial in their own respective ways. Again, like the isometric contractions, the static contractions, those you get the like tension that you wouldn't usually get in a isotonic contraction. So isometric, they are beneficial in their own way. I wouldn't say specifically for muscle building. They still do build muscle because of that tension that I mentioned earlier, but I wouldn't say that they're as efficient as isotonic contractions. And so that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed that and learned something from it. If you guys did, please leave a like, subscribe, help me grow. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for sticking around. I hope you guys enjoyed it. See you guys next week. Vice versa, I guess. Hello? I don't know what that was, but anyways, sorry. So